It is Wednesday, August 29th of 2018, and I have been just rambling to myself since I started this recording, most of which, actually probably pretty much all of which most people will never see. I really should do some kind of special video for all the crazy stuff I talk about before I actually start to record Guy's Daily Drive. And good Wednesday afternoon to all of you. The throngs, the hordes of people that watch and listen to these videos and audio recordings of Guy's Daily Drive. It is greatly appreciated. And you are the special few. Yes, indeed, you are. Ho, ho, ho. Okay. Today is a special day. Because, well, for one thing, a bus just honked at me. I don't know why, but he did. Today is the 26th anniversary of my wedding. Now, what makes this special is that unlike most cartoons and comedies that you see on television, where it's the man who always forgets the wedding anniversary and then is scrambling to go and get flowers or candy or some other thing to make it up to his wife, or to try to convince his wife that he never ever forgot the anniversary. I always remember my wedding anniversary, and it's usually Tracy that forgets, which is weird because she remembers everything else, but she can't remember the day that we got married. However, this year, it was we've been so busy over the last, so much has been going on the last 2 weeks, between taking Peter and his girlfriend to Hershey Park a week ago, and then leaving on Friday for New Jersey for the wedding, and then the wedding and everything else, and coming back. And it's been a pretty busy time. And so I got up this morning and didn't think about it at all. I had nothing going on in my head other than it's just another day, middle of the week, and that this was the first Wednesday that I had been to work in 3 weeks. So imagine my shock and horror when I came upstairs to get ready for work, my wife said happy anniversary. You could have knocked me over with a feather. Literally, a feather would just floored me, because I never ever forget our anniversary, and she never ever remembers it. And for some weird reason, this anniversary she remembered and I did not. And what makes it even more comical is that last year, when we had our 25th wedding anniversary, which is certainly more significant than a 26th or a 24th, I was the one that remembered how many years it was. That it was 25. And what makes it also odd is that when we were at the wedding, somebody mentioned that August weddings are typically very, very difficult to deal with because it's usually just so hot. And that the people we were talking to, so they could only remember one other wedding that wasn't just miserable. And that was Tracy and my wedding in August of 1992, August 29th. Now, what makes that significant, beyond the fact that it was our wedding day, was something that was happening over 1,000 miles away at the exact same time that we were getting married. And that was Hurricane Andrew. Yes. As Hurricane Andrew tore the living crap out of South Florida, it was the first major hurricane in a couple of decades. I was getting married in Alexandria, Virginia. And the reason why that's significant is because of that hurricane, all of the humidity was being sucked down to the south. And we had a picture perfect day. I mean, the temperatures were like in, I think, mid 70s to high 70s, almost no humidity, not a cloud in the sky. I mean, it was just, you couldn't have asked for a nicer day. Of course, people in South Florida weren't real happy. But we had a picture perfect day. And having grown up in South Florida in the 60s, I was, and you know, my wife and my kids could, if they watch this, and they don't, would groan if they heard me say the words that I am about to say, which is, I was born in South Florida in the middle of a hurricane. Hurricane Donna, September 1960. And it seemed almost fitting that, having been born in a hurricane, that when getting married, that there would be another hurricane down in South Florida, in the area that I grew up in, raising all kinds of hell. Man, I don't know why I'm so tired. You know, Florida was not ready for Andrew in any way, shape, or form. Now, granted, I'm not sure how you get ready for a hurricane of that magnitude. But I mean, literally, even if every single person had experienced hurricanes in South Florida, they still wouldn't have been ready. That's how bad Hurricane Andrew was. But what made it worse, it was actually the first major hurricane to hit South Florida in over 20 years. There was a hurricane in 1960 when I was born. There was one that I barely remember in 1964 when I was just a little kid. And then there was another one that I do remember in 1967. And the reason why I remember the one in 1967 was my father and my older brother Sandy, the same Sandy that Tracy and I went to go see last weekend twice, taping up windows and doing some preparation for the hurricane that was coming then. After that, there was no major hurricane that hit the South Florida area until Andrew. And the area had grown immensely from the mid-60s to the early 90s. There was a ton of people who had moved down to South Florida. And when you have that many people coming to an area, well, they got to have some place to live. So all of these huge developments had been created between the 60s and the 90s. Some were not up to code. And a lot of the houses that were destroyed by Hurricane Andrew, it happened because those houses were not up to code. You had a lot of fly-by-night developers, real estate and construction crews that would come in, build these huge complexes, sell a bunch of worthless warranties on these homes, and then dissolve themselves, and you would never see them again if you had any kind of problem with your home. And unfortunately, there were government employees that were involved in some of these scandals, particularly the people that were supposed to go out and inspect these houses to make sure that they were up to code. There was, as I recall, you have to remember this was a long time ago, as I recall, there was a guy that was busted trying to take out a bunch of files that were probably related to houses that he had inspected out of City Hall, the hard copies. And when they started looking at these home inspections, they found that some of these inspectors were claiming to have inspected homes miles and miles apart from one another on the same day. Sometimes well over 20 to 30 miles apart. Large numbers of homes. So the implication was that these guys were taking money on the side from these developers and real estate agents to look the other way at code violations. Now, I don't remember if any of the people that lost their lives in Hurricane Andrew, if it was a direct result of a home that wasn't up to code being hit by the hurricane. But it could have happened. So, these were bad people. Bad people. And here we are, getting close to home, my home. And what started out as a story about my wedding that was 26 years ago has now evolved into a rant about South Florida home inspectors getting busted for not doing their job after a major hurricane goes through. This is how my mind works. If you'd like to get a hold of me and wish me happy anniversary, you can send that to guy@mymac.com, or better yet, send me a tweet to MacParrot over there on the Twitters. If you'd like to help support the stuff that I do, the crazy, crazy stuff that I do, all you have to do is go to Patreon or Ko-fi, ko-fi.com, and look for my name, Guy Searle, or Mac Parrot. They'll both bring it up, and you can make a donation that way. Tonight I will be recording a Mac to the Future Go live cast over there on Facebook, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look for my name. Not that it'll matter, because by the time you see or hear this, it will have already happened. You can also find me on the weekends where I record a little podcast, been around for, a bit. The MyMac.com podcast that I do with Gazmaz. We are coming up on our 500 and something show. We've done a lot of shows over the last 8.5 years. But that is going to do it for today. So thank you all for watching and or listening. I have traffic I'm dealing with now. And we shall catch you next time as I get through the traffic. Ho-ho! On Guy's Daily Drive.